Hi beautiful humans who happen to tune into this special little video in the corner of the internet about this super magical psychoactive brew called ayahuasca. This feels like such a big thing to share about because it's so intimate and so woven into my path of awakening and healing from so much around my mother dying and just completely alchemizing all of this sludgy heaviness into something really beautiful and vibrant and radiant. And I quite honestly have not talked to so many people about this, like only the few people that are closest to me. So I trust that whoever is listening to this is tuned into their heart and following what's best for them. And I wish you the best of luck on this journey. I wouldn't change a single thing about it. I'm not going to go too much into detail about what ayahuasca is. You can use the internet for that. I'm here to give you personal experience. But it is a psychoactive brew that is used by indigenous people, first in Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil. And I felt called to ayahuasca as soon as I took my first tab of LSD in high school. I immediately knew that I would be working with psychedelics and had this very exploratory mindset, using it for my own personal growth and development, to now where I am a certified psychedelic integration specialist. So that dream, that knowing has been there from the beginning, and ayahuasca came through in that. I have always felt really called to exploring the depth that she is, because you are going to be going through a very deep process if you choose to engage with this medicine, because it's taking you through the depths of your being, and these are never ending. There are a million layers, and she meets you wherever you're at, wherever your next level up is. That's where you are going to be guided into. So my first experience with ayahuasca was going to a retreat, and there were several different medicines that we worked with in this retreat. So if you do decide to sit with ayahuasca in this way, which is one of the more expensive ways of doing it, but the benefits of that are you're in a container for a selected amount of time, really able to give yourself that full rest, be fed the proper foods and nutrition right before your experience. You're having typically activities or things in nature, so you really get this whole immersive experience for a retreat. And I am happy that I did that for my first one if you have the resources. But I know there's also a lot of people who feel called to ceremony who don't exactly have $2,000, $3,000 to go spend on a retreat. So you can also do this in individual ceremonies. And myself, I found out about individual ceremonies kind of through the grapevine of people I met at retreats. So if you see people who work with medicines in the area, I would suggest messaging them and seeing if they know anybody credible that you can talk to beforehand, of having an individual ceremony that may only cost you $150 for a night versus paying thousands for something else. Make sure that you are very comfortable with the energy of the person who is serving, because that matters. Before I start talking about my experience, I just want to touch on the importance of managing your expectations for this, because everybody who sits with ayahuasca is going to have a completely different experience. So what one person is telling you their experience was, you can't start creating all these images in your head of what it will be for you. So for example, I have not personally experienced a whole bunch of visions and taking over my visual field and really being in that state. My experience has always been ayahuasca working with me in a more, I don't want to say conscious way, but down to earth. I'm not all lost in these fractals and images. She has more so worked with me through knowing, through realization, and I'll go more into that. But I really just want you to go into an experience with totally open heart to whatever it has to show you, even if you might be disappointed because you didn't see all of these crazy visions, or seemingly something huge didn't happen, you didn't have a huge breakthrough. She is working in your system, in your consciousness, in exactly the way that she needs to get you to that level up, like I was saying. So you might not always be fully aware and conscious, but you will begin to have a deeper trust with this medicine, with the universe, with this source in general. And through that, you can understand that she's always doing exactly what needs to be happening for you. So hold that in your heart, and if you're trying to find ways that it's not working and force it, then that's going to be your mindset, and you're going to have to learn through the way you're trying to manipulate your reality to be something that it isn't. Ayahuasca is highly intelligent, and I guarantee if you sit with her a few times, if you don't understand the first time, you will understand. You will understand this highly intelligent spirit. I don't even know if that's what I want to call it, but this essence that you receive with the medicine, this very motherly grandmother spirit of just warmth. And I can't really say just warmth, because sometimes if you need it, she'll smack you upside the head. It's really just like a super potent mirror to show you exactly what you need in the moment. So for my first experience, I cold turkey antidepressants 2 weeks before. Was that the best thing to do? I don't know if you're really supposed to do that, but at that time I did, and it felt right. It was definitely intense to do that. I worked with combo before then, detox, and it was a very difficult experience. But you cannot be on antidepressants like SSRIs when you are sitting with this medicine. So please do your research or talk to somebody who knows to make sure that you are safe and ready to sit in a ceremony. Anyways, I went to this retreat, and there was only one ceremony, and it was at the end of the retreat. I sat with the medicine that night. It took me 5 servings of ayahuasca, and I wasn't really sure why. I was very determined to feel something, to have a connection, and it's not super typical that people require that much. Everybody has a million different things to say about that, but regardless, on my last serving, the retreat leader went up to the shaman and let him know something about me in his ear. Maybe that my mom had just passed away or something, to give him insight. And with that serving, the shaman gave it a whole bunch of energy and attention and said some things and made it much more extravagant than any other serving that I had or anybody else. And when I tell you, I felt it immediately within 20 seconds, versus before then I had been sitting for 2 hours not feeling anything from all of these cups of medicine that I had. And it didn't take me into a super visual place, but I remember, and this had never happened to me for the other 8 times that I've sat with ayahuasca, I had these alien entities, and I want you to imagine what this is like, because it isn't, you could be imagining it to be crazier than it is. Like, yes, it's crazy, but it feels very normal when this is happening, and it isn't a hallucination. Like, you understand in that moment you are actually energetically receiving these upgrades and feeling them and experiencing them, and unless you know, you could just project your disbelief onto people. So please just have an open mind and an open heart when you're listening to me talk about these things, because I too could understand how they sound crazy, but they aren't exactly what you might be imagining in your head. So just go with me. It kind of appears as like light tracers when my eyes were closed, and it was like these light, wispy entities that were leaning over me and doing surgery on my eyes. It did not hurt. It was totally an energetic thing, and it was very calm. I very much felt like they got me. They're taking care of me. I am so safe. And this makes sense because there are definitely higher dimensional beings that are by your side and helping guide your life and being there for us as humans in a third dimensional, more dense realm of reality. There are beings that are assisting us. So it makes sense that we kind of open this portal through ayahuasca and allow these beings to come to us and to work with us. I feel like I just had a whole bunch of connections that night, realizations. There was this deep feeling of coming home to myself that I had not felt in years. I told you I cold turkeyed antidepressants going into that experience, so I was coming from a very vulnerable and raw space where I had been depressed after my mom died and before I was handling that for honestly a very long time. I was dealing with a lot of density, and I had been depressed when I was younger, when I was a teenager as well, and I had not felt this sense of self-love in so long. I was sitting there just looking up at the trees and just crying thank God that I returned. I was so lost before then. I just went to that ayahuasca retreat. I didn't even know what was happening there, but I knew I needed healing, and I was down for anything at that point, because you know how disheartening it can be to be in a depressive state for a long time and just things don't get better. But working with ayahuasca, with that essence moving through my being, it was like my eyes were cleared and I could see life again as it was, as its magic, as myself being magic, as everything leading to this moment and how divine that is, and receiving downloads of my purpose. And there's such a wide range of things that can happen when you sit with ayahuasca. And during the night, the shamans are playing the music, these icaros that work with the medicine and take you through these journeys, take you through highs, take you through lows. You're most likely going to experience nausea during this experience. You just work with it, you sit with yourself, and that's why working with an integration coach beforehand can be really helpful to teach you a lot of these techniques and how to make the best of your experience and let go of the reins so you're not sitting there suffering all night, because the people that suffer the most are those who are not willing to let go. Let go of your old identities, let go of these old patterns of belief, let go of these patterns that you've been holding in your body for so long, letting go of your control. And it's always going to take you back to this lesson of surrender. And I know for a lot of people, this experience brings up emotions that they haven't felt safe to connect to. So grief can begin pouring out of you as you haven't looked at these things, you've repressed these things in your body, in your being, in your life. And I can't give ayahuasca all of the credit, but if you had the two versions of me side by side, pre-ayahuasca and post-ayahuasca, they were very different. And having an experience like that was very visceral, very personal for that long, it's like you quantum leap in one night. So this is why there's so many stories of ayahuasca saved my life, ayahuasca changed my life, and it's like she showed you the way. You are still having to make the changes, and your life is going to continue to undergo a whole bunch of transformation in the months after, the years after. This integration process does not stop the week after you sit with ayahuasca. It is continuous and ever evolving. And if you are deeply working with the medicine and feeling called back to working in different ceremonies, you're going to see these common threads and things building on each other and being revealed to you. And this new level of self-awareness that you're able to carry in your everyday reality just from having that potent of a mirror for that experience, for having that essence be invited into your space. So I trust if you feel the call to this, then you are meant for that next level that comes through this. But there's a part of us that can resist it because we know that a whole bunch of things are going to change in our life. Anybody who's not in resonance is going to have to leave your life. And you might not be ready for that. But honestly, you never really feel totally ready. I know I did not feel ready when my mom died. I was like, no way can I handle this. And then you just do it. You find the tools and you dig yourself out, and especially with the help of community and love and support and these plant medicines that are here to assist us and to guide us, we can create such beautiful relationships with them. I want to tell you one more story of ayahuasca. I have many, but the second one that I want to go into is this ceremony that I had. And it felt really strange because I didn't speak the language and there was no translator, so I didn't really know what was going on. And I was one of the few who volunteered to take their most potent form of ayahuasca, since I told you in my previous ceremonies I don't want to call it a resistance. I don't really know why. I don't really need to, but that's how it's been for me in the past. So I sat with their most potent ayahuasca in the dirt that night. We didn't even have buckets to throw up in, so you just get to right next to you. But again, I was feeling like the medicine wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't feeling any different and feeling disappointed. And then I tuned into something, and through that realization, it spiraled me into being in a catatonic state. And then I realized that I was experiencing what my mother was experiencing when she was dying, when she was in this coma-like state after a not so good brain surgery. And this is what was happening recently that I was healing from during this time that I was working with ayahuasca very intimately. And I sat there on the ground, unable to move, and feeling these feelings of everybody walking around me and nobody doing anything to really help me, and the way that they were being seen as less than because you are unable to advocate for yourself, and people just treating you however they want, and feeling this deep sadness that I had experienced now, both from watching her go through that and now from being that. So I sat there for I don't even know how long in that state, but eventually I felt our souls kind of go over each other, hover, and have this moment of merging. And from that point, I did not even I can't say I don't miss my mom. Of course, I miss her so deeply in her presence every day, but there is a part that is always with me, and strangely, I began to embody traits that she had that I have always wanted after that moment. And it was a very quantum experience that is pretty undescribable. And this is what I mean when I say you can't listen to anybody else about their experience with ayahuasca, because it is so multidimensional and so unique to you, But these are just to kind of give you some spectrum of what you can experience, because I almost didn't even perceive what was happening to me. But once I took notice of it, then I really got to be in that experience. So I think sometimes that can happen in ayahuasca, is that it can work in subtleties, and it's not always this big show in your face. And regardless, it's doing exactly what it needs to do for you in your system in so many different levels. I cried so much that night, just feeling into my mother's pain and suffering and getting to experience firsthand what that felt like to be stuck in a body that's in a coma. Very, very potent experience. And I feel through these experiences, I always walk away with this renewed joy, with this renewed knowing and faith, and everything that it brings with this surge of energy, with this new self-awareness, the processing of trauma that's been stuck in your mind and your psyche. It has such a range of benefits. And yes, please be careful if you are predisposed to certain conditions like schizophrenia or bipolar, but so many people can benefit from working intentionally with something like this in a ceremonial setting with proper integration to work through all of these layers that are just in your subconscious mind, and you have no idea that they're dictating your life because you can't see them. They're your shadow. Or yeah, you've been depressed for so many years because your self-worth has been hidden from you, or you've been twisted. It kind of like clears the glass so you can see properly again. And again, you can't give it all the credit, but ayahuasca is a very powerful teacher that can show you a way. I'm always going to stress the importance of integration because that's how you actually embody the version of you that has everything that you want after coming into alignment, and not just going to ceremony after ceremony and seeing the same things, having these mystical experiences, but you're not really doing the work in real life to make the changes necessary so you can vibrate at that higher frequency without ayahuasca. She's always with you, but I see this so often of people just never taking time to integrate the experience. I want to help you embody these insights. It's not just one and done in the ceremony. So if you want to talk more about this process of integration and preparation, and if the journey of plant medicines is right for you, I'm going to put my Calendly link in the caption below, and your first session with me will be free. I want to talk to you and give you all of the information that you need to feel ready and able to step into ceremony comfortably, and so you can open to this new higher version of yourself that has been here all along and just waiting for you to tap into. So subscribe if this video helped you and you want to learn more. I love you. Thank you so much for listening and for being here.